Despite the toll Massachusetts shutdown has been taking on people, there is still overwhelming support for the measures. According to a new Suffolk University, WGBH News, Boston Globe poll, the man behind the numbers, Suffolk University pollster David Paleologos, joins me. David, it's good to see you.
Great. Thanks for having me.
So I don't want to leave people in suspense, so I wrote down a summary. Tell me if this sort of gets it. Overwhelming number of people willing to play by the rules for a lot of time. They won't be rushing out to public events or restaurants even when this is over. And they love Baker's leadership, Trump not so much. Is that a fair summary?
That's it.
Okay.
Nice talking to you.
Okay, so let's go down this list if we can. I was stunned by a lot of this. How long can you endure this emotionally? 2/3 of people say a few more months or indefinitely. Do they really mean that, or they think they mean that?
I got to tell you, I was totally shocked by this finding. Going into the survey, I thought, just my own experience of being cooped up in a house, I thought people's wicks would have been short and burnt out by now, but it's absolutely the opposite. People have a long wick, they're hunkered down. And when you use the word indefinitely, that speaks to how serious this problem is.
And they also, as a corollary to that, stunning numbers. What is it? 85%, down a few since March, support the governor's restrictions. An interesting sub-number there is the number amongst Republicans, I know there aren't many Republicans in the state, has dropped precipitously since your polling in March. Why is that?
Well, you have a higher margin of error in that subgroup, but I think the tolerance level is happening. You know, a lot of small business owners are Republicans or think of themselves as Republicans, and I think it speaks to exactly what's happening. You
know, it's also amazing. Another thing that it makes it amazing to me. Has the coronavirus situation diminished your regular income? 46% say yes, a dramatic increase since March. But yet again, you have to tie that into, I support what the governor's doing, and I can endure this indefinitely. How do you make those all fit, David?
Well, it's very difficult. It means that people know what needs to be done to solve this health problem. But even more importantly, among 18 to 34s, that number jumps to 52%. Among young people, that number is up 18 points, not 10 points. So young people are bearing the brunt of this financial hit to protect the health of older people and people with pre-existing conditions.
That's a wonderful point, which I hadn't thought of. Now, here's my favorite. I love these kind of juxtapositions. How strict have you been about social distancing? Very strict or pretty strict is a mere 93%. How about other people in Massachusetts? Very strict, only 12%. Isn't that always the case? I'm the good person. I'm doing the right things. My neighbor, not so much.
Well, that's it. The grass is always browner next door. Not a crisis, I guess. But, you know, I think we have stories to tell in our own communities of kids that are congregating and partying and parents judging other parents. And this is exactly what we're seeing in the poll.
You know, there was also, in my estimation, maybe you feel differently about this, some bad news for those worried about a quick uptick in the economy once Charlie Baker says we can open things. You asked about a bunch of activities, and are you going to be willing to do these things once they are allowed? Eating out, 42%. Attending a sporting event, only 23%. Going to theater, movies, 24%. Jim, by the way, the number for shopping is pretty high. It's 71%. I didn't put it on the chart. It goes up a little bit with a treatment like remdesivir. Goes up a lot when there's a virus, but that's a long way away. That is bad news for the economy, in the short term at least, is it not?
Absolutely. We're a big sports city, right? And that's a big economic driver. And even with a vaccine, when we finally got to the question of a vaccine, 1 in 4 people said they still wouldn't attend a sporting event or ride the T. So I think that's going to impact long-term planning and really reshuffle decisions that are being made by sports team owners.
So for the last couple of seconds here, let's talk about leadership. What I decided to do this afternoon is see if I could identify by name every single one of the people who don't approve of Charlie Baker's leadership here. And I think I found most of them, but not all of them. What is it, 84% for Baker as opposed to 25% for fellow but different kind of Republican Donald Trump? Here's my analysis. Baker's doing a great job in the minds of the people of Massachusetts. However, subliminally, they're saying Trump is so horrible that it makes Baker look even better. Is that a fair analysis?
Well, I think that would put him in the 60s. I mean, keep in mind, 11% of the Massachusetts is registered Republican. Add a few more percent in for people who think of themselves as Republican. You know, it's a far cry to go from 16% core to 84%.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
And by the way, I love the fact that the group that he's least popular with are his fellow Republicans. Democrats loving him, independents too, right?
Absolutely. And Trump voters too. You know, his approval drops 14 points among Trump voters. Go figure.
David, it was a pleasure working with you on this. I hope we get to do it again here at WGBH News. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
David Paleologos from Suffolk.